Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. If you saw one of my more recent community posts on my channel, I touched base on the recent news that Bret the Hitman Hart has backed out of a convention that was going to involve both him and Bill Goldberg appearing at an event for wrestling fans. It has been mentioned all over the internet. There are people that are really kind of mixed opinions about the whole thing. This whole thing really got me very upset. And I'm going to touch base on why that is in this video. I know I'm probably going to piss some people off, but it's got to be said with the harsh truth here. Now, if you have followed wrestling and you know about the conflict between Bret Hart and Bill Goldberg, it began many years ago when both were in WCW. During a match, Bill Goldberg threw Bret Hart into the ropes and threw a kick at Bret Hart's head. Bret hit the ground, he went to the back, and due to the severity of the injury, Bret Hart had to retire from the ring because he had a concussion and apparently it was not healing, and WCW terminated the Hitman after he could not wrestle anymore. Ever since that time period, Bret Hart has brought up Bill Goldberg in shoot interviews quite frequently. Ever since the era of the internet got bigger and bigger, wrestling podcasters came along, all the stuff that you see on the platform today, whether this platform or other platforms. Wrestling shoots have really become synonymous. Fans, they tune into the whole thing and then they want to see the character they liked or the wrestler they liked talk about events in wrestling and people they had matches with so-and-so. Just basically learning more about what wrestling was really like and what it was, for these people. But more and more throughout the years, Bret Hart has been showing a negative side towards Bill Goldberg following the kick to the head many years ago. Every time when Bret Hart gets asked about Bill Goldberg, Bret Hart's going to say some not so great derogatory things about Bill, despite Bill Goldberg claims he apologized so many times over. And I get it. I mean, I know that old saying, you can't forgive everybody, but there's a bigger problem going on here. More and more, Bret Hart is continuing to attack Bill Goldberg to the point where it's becoming a problem to where a lot of longtime fans and myself, we're slowly losing respect for the Hitman, and it's becoming very, very hard to watch his shoot interviews because it's going to result in him being negative and going on verbal attacks. And I understand that the devastation of the injury and him retiring was hard. It's no secret that Bret, when he got into WCW, he was still affected by the Montreal Screwjob and his falling out with WWE and Vince McMahon. We all stood by him. We stood by him when he lost his brother Owen. We stood by him when he had the stroke he did. We stood by him when he had the prostate cancer he did. We stood by him in his recovery because we were loyal fans of his, and some of us still are. But it becomes a problem to where you got to really look at the bigger picture here and see what's really going on here. Bret's negativity towards Bill Goldberg has gotten to the point now to where Bret is backing out of conventions that wrestling fans paid money to go to see him at because of his not so great, well-known hatred of another person. And I'm going to make this clear. I'm no fan of Bill Goldberg, but I have to defend him on this whole thing here. He has apologized, and he still does go to these conventions and meet with fans. That says something. The man is a changed man since his WCW run. He's a family man. He came back to WWE and gave us a retirement match. The guy has matured a lot. And despite that, it's always going to go back to Bret Hart running Bill Goldberg down for a kick to the head that Bill Goldberg cannot go back and undo. So the question is now, why is Bret Hart's hatred getting to the point where he's taking it out on the fans, even if he doesn't want to admit it? There are fans who paid their money to go to this thing, and now they're disappointed. I don't know if it happened yet or if it's going to happen. I haven't followed the date, but I am saying it's the wrong message, Bret. Because a lot of wrestling fans today, with the economy we're in, can barely afford to even watch WWE or even go to these things. And I get it. I know no one ever said Bret Hart couldn't feel the way he has. But he's missing the whole point. You hold on to negativity for the rest of your life, and it's going to turn you into a different person. And the thing is, Bret Hart forgave WWE for the screw job. That was worse than a kick to the head, in my opinion, because we saw the end of his career. The man got set up and he got played. Him and his family were embarrassed that night after Bret had, what was it, a 13, 14-year run with the company? Then the loss of Owen Hart, which was even worse. Even worse than the Montreal screw job and a kick to the head from Goldberg. Okay? Cancer is worse. The stroke was worse. But yet we're led to believe a kick to the head that Bret Hart cannot forgive. And Bret, he's missing the whole point here. If WCW was going to close regardless if the kick happened or not, shouldn't his animosity and his negativity go straight to that, and maybe he can overlook the kick to the head from Bill Goldberg? No matter how it played out, the company was going to close. There was no saving WCW. He would have lost his job regardless if the kick happened or not. And injuries, they happen in wrestling all the time. It was brought up in one of the comment sections of, I think, a post or a video. I forget which one it is. It was made mention of when D'Lo Brown did the running power bomb to Droz. That caused Droz to be paralyzed from the waist down. Droz never came out and attacked D'Lo Brown for it. And D'Lo Brown felt terrible about it. But the point I make, severe injury, Droz was able to forgive. And Droz was not even in the wrestling business as long as Bret Hart was. Another example, Stone Cold Steve Austin getting dumped on his head in a match with Owen Hart at SummerSlam, 1997. Did Stone Cold Steve Austin spend years running Owen Hart down? No, he didn't. Injuries happen in wrestling all the time. Now, am I not getting what Bret Hart is saying in terms of Bill being unsafe? That maybe he should have been trained better? I've always said the problem was that WCW rushed his training to get him in the ring because of his look, his intensity. And it was wrong to start Bill Goldberg on the undefeated streak that he had squashing wrestlers. He wasn't able to accurately build up how to protect his opponent like other wrestlers were taught how to. But time moves being done wrong are common with everybody. It doesn't matter if they're trained wrong or if they're veterans, etc., etc. This kind of thing happens in matches quite frequently. So that's the way I think Bret Hart needs to look at this. Now, the other thing I think that has really been fueling this conflict between these two for a long time is that these podcasters on social media, they're constantly interviewing people about Bret Hart. They're getting people to talk about Bret Hart, and Bret Hart is returning fire on them. These podcasters have been stirring the pot for Bret Hart for a long time. They need to knock it off. How many times when Bret's at a convention is he asked about Shawn Michaels or WWE or even Hulk Hogan, who passed away? Bret Hart has come out frequently ever since Hulk Hogan passed and still runs Hulk Hogan down. But you have to realize a lot of these podcasters and a lot of these people deleting shoot interviews and then uploading them again, they're partially to blame for all this. Yeah, what do you think about that person, Bret? What do you think about that person, Bret? Why do you people have to do that? Because it's just going to cause problems to continue, and it's going to cause more issues. Enough's enough. You guys all say you want to interview Bret Hart, you want to talk to him about wrestling. Hey, that's fine. But why do you people have to keep bringing problems he had with other people up? That's just going to continue conflicts to continue, and it's not going to help anybody. These are people that are stirring the pot and they're starting shit. They got to knock it off. I'm saying also with this whole thing here for Bret Hart, he's got to quit punishing wrestling fans because he doesn't want to go to an event with Bill Goldberg is there. I think what needs to be done is Bret Hart needs to find something to help his mentality here. Look at it differently than you did years ago. There's meditations, there's nootropic supplements that I take for my problems. for clarity. There's ways that people can maybe hold an intervention, and maybe people can sit down with you and Bill Goldberg in the room and you two can hash things out. There's plenty of healthy steps here to where this whole thing can end. He doesn't have to be friends with Bill Goldberg. No one said he had to, and no one said he couldn't talk about Bill Goldberg. But enough's enough, man. Come on. I want to really try to remember Bret Hart as the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Epic technical matches, championship wins. You know, many matches that we all can look back on with fondness. But very slowly, and I'm going to say this as I said in the community post some time ago, I am losing respect for Bret Hart. I really am. And I hate saying that. I looked up to him as a kid. I have hope that maybe he will calm down over time. But the more this continues to happen year after year, it gets harder to watch those kinds of moments when a man's bitterness and his negativity keeps coming up every single time. Because, truth be told, a lot of wrestling fans have stopped watching Bret Hart's matches and stopped watching his epic moments because they're tired of his complaining. They're tired of his bitterness. They're tired of his negativity. Enough's enough, Bret. Okay? It's time for you to look at things differently and stop taking it out on people because you don't want to go to a convention where Bill Goldberg is. Yes, it only happened, I think, one time, but who's to say this won't happen again and again and again? Either way, man, cooler heads have got to prevail. I'm tired of this conflict. I'm tired of hearing about the kick to the head. I'm tired of the negativity. I'm tired of the bitterness. I'm tired of all of it. And it comes down to a choice. Clear your head. Be the guy that we looked up to. Set the right example. Sit down with Bill Goldberg. Hash things out. Stop burying the man for something he can't go back and undo and fix. And just be the role model that we knew you to be. Or continue down the path of bitterness and negativity like society does every time. And it's just going to make it very harder for wrestling fans to look at you the same way. Bitterness and negativity can be overcome. And that's really what should happen. So that's been my take on the whole thing. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Talk to you later.